Hello YouTube, my name's Jennifer. It's my first video. So I wanted to share with you guys an experience I had, a spiritual awakening about 12 years ago on Christmas, and this is an experience that I haven't talked to many people about because it was kind of out there, I guess, and I didn't want people to think I was crazy. So I don't know, with all the stuff going on in the world, I just really felt like I should be, sharing my experience, and maybe this might be able to help someone else. So basically, what happened 12 years ago is I was trying to get sober from alcohol, and I was just having like what felt like a nervous breakdown, and everything was just going wrong at once. I'd crashed my car and I lived far from my job. I just had very little money, was alone, and this was around Christmas time, and the electricity and everything had gotten turned off, and I had no food, and I was kind of estranged from my family. I was adopted as a little girl, and it's just like a lot of difficulties with my family. Didn't get along with them, especially as a teenager, and I ended up leaving, and my family just didn't want anything to do with me, and I was just on my own. I had a lot of struggles, lived on the streets for a while, and so I think I carried all this baggage with me, and just was, depressed and trying to just numb everything with, alcohol, and getting attached to these, relationships and guys that, didn't really care about me. So I was just a pretty unhappy person, and everything as I was sober was just manifesting, and I felt really just hopeless. I felt terrible. Anyhow, so I started to pray, and I hadn't really prayed like for many years. And as a child, like, I went to church, and I just wasn't what I was, into anymore. And I, read different spiritual books and Buddhism, and tried Wicca, and I don't know. I mean, whatever works, I guess. But anyways, nothing was really helping me. I still felt just really depressed and really empty. And so I started to pray to Jesus. And I felt like, if God is everything, like they say, God is everything, or he is nothing. So this is either all a big crock of BS or it's not. So I asked God, I'm like, okay, you're God, you can do anything, so you give me a miracle in my life. And then what happened was just that. I felt like I was having a nervous breakdown. This was Christmas. I all of a sudden started feeling suicidal, but it felt like there was something outside of me, like a demonic force. And because I had felt suicidal before, but this was different, and I had thoughts like that I wanted to kill myself in a very violent way that would be just very hurtful for anyone to see that scene, like to just, rip my guts out and throw them against the wall. Sorry to be so grotesque, but it was just very violent, and it just didn't feel like it was coming from me. And I just felt this heaviness around me, and I laid down, and it was like I had sleep paralysis, but I was awake and I couldn't move, and this went on for hours. And I started to pray, God, give me the strength and help me. And then I got down on my knees, and I was screaming to God and praying on my hands and knees, please help me. And a couple of days ago, a woman had given me her card, and said, you know, if you need help or anything, you know, please call me. And so I picked up the phone, and it just felt like it was just really hard to, and this was late at night. It's just like, or actually early in the morning. It was like about 5 a.m. But I called her, and she came right over, and just something happened when she came to the door, and the door opened, and it wasn't dark anymore. It was daylight, and it was like I had never seen the daylight before. It's like I had never felt the air the way it felt, and I just felt totally liberated and free in that moment. And she took me to her house and made me food, and it was like I never had food that tasted that delicious. And I took a bath, and it was just the most cleansing, amazing feeling. All just these ordinary things that I, you know, were always there and always experienced it, but I never really experienced it. And my perception of time changed, where I was just completely in the moment, and I wasn't thinking about the past, and I was just completely free. But I was so in the moment, I had to write everything down or I wouldn't remember. And it's like I could really see people's faces looked different to me, their eyes. It was like I could look through and see their soul. And you know, like when you ask people like, oh, how are you doing, like someone maybe you don't know, or stranger, or someone on the bus, you say, oh, fine, great. And all of a sudden, like, people just started like telling me things, you know, just things about their life and the pain they were going through. And I just realized so many things, that we all, you know, as human beings, like we all suffer. And I felt very disconnected because, as you know, an adopted child, and then being rejected by my so not foster parents but adoptive parents, I felt like a throwaway. I felt horrible. You know, and I just realized that we all suffer, and that, you know, we are all connected as human beings to each other, and we need to, you know, stop looking at all the differences and just awaken as humanity. I think that that is the goal, and that is the point, is to awaken. You know, I don't really know everything that has to do with Christianity, or necessarily like believe everything that's in the Bible, because it just doesn't resonate with me as the truth. I felt what I had was maybe kind of similar to some stuff, but it was, you know, it was different as well. So after a few days, my perception of time, and just my perception in general, started going back to normal. But I still, I think, have had like change in, still a change in perception, but probably not as dramatic as it was. I mean, like I said, I hadn't been drinking. I haven't done drugs in a long time, but it felt like I was on LSD. It was that powerful, the way that I was perceiving everything. So anyways, that was just my experience that I went through, and I hope that somehow maybe this video can help someone. If you're feeling depressed, or you're feeling like, you know, you're losing your mind, it might be that you're on your way to an awakening, to realization. Just really would really like you to reach out to somebody. You know, I think it's not in our nature to want to kill ourselves, and our lives are precious and worth living. So love you guys. Thank you. I'll be posting more videos.